All right, I'm going to call the Select Board meeting for Monday, July 17th. Call to order. Could we all stand to say the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Manifests.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the accounts payable manifest for July 17th, 2017, and the payroll manifest for July 18th, 2017.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hell of a job, Tom.
Couldn't have done it without you.
I didn't have much to do with it, to be honest with you.
That's it for this folder, right? There you go.
Excuse me?
It's there?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
You have some minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, you do? I didn't get any.
For
I mean, I looked them over, but
July 10th.
There was only one small change from Charlie.
yeah, I didn't see anything in there. I wanted to.
So, could I have a motion for the July 10th minutes?
I'll make
Move we accept the minutes as amended for July 10, 2017.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Alrighty. BOS reports. Anything from budget?
No, we're not meeting until, when was it again? Next month?
September.
September, right.
September 14th or
14th about, yeah.
Charlie, you're on CIP, right? That hasn't met yet?
No, Chris gave us a quick rundown, was it last week? And haven't set up a first meeting yet, and then the request has gone out, I think, the participating individuals to appoint members for the CIP.
Mm-hmm. And the stuff hasn't gone out to the department heads yet,
No.
right?
No, but it will probably this week. We need to ask you to get somebody on CIP.
Yes, I believe that's this week.
Beautiful.
Alright.
All right, then we're done.
So, planning board, we had 2 conditional approvals on Wednesday for minor subdivisions. We went over the impact fees, so we're bringing forward to a public hearing the rec department impact fees, revision to the fire department impact fees, and the school impact fees will remain the same. But first it goes to a public hearing and then we make a decision. I think the discussion on the school board is because it's related to full-day kindergarten and there's still some more work that needs to be done. We probably won't make a decision on the school board until after the March election, depending upon how the votes go for. But I think we are scheduling, if I remember correctly, the public hearing for September 20.
And these are new for the rec
September.
department, correct?
The rec department is new, the fire station has been.
Right.
It's lower just because of where everything is in the fire station now as far as capital projects. The rec department is solely based on Marston.
Yeah.
And the school is just, we didn't want to make it kind of a decision, so we just, that's gonna just remain the same for now. So, that's that on the planning board, and that's it, right?
Yeah.
That's where the
I think so.
committees. Town administrator report.
All right, we're just about done with the siding project on the north side of this building. That was one of our big maintenance things this year. We replaced the wood siding with vinyl. Went fine until we got to the breezeway between this building and the ancient building back there. If you lean up against that wall, you tend to sway into the building. So our rot has, it's,
Pretty significant.
we covered it up rather than pull it out and rebuild it. I think we'll get maybe 5 years out of it, just covering it. Yanking the whole wall out was not really an option.
So we'll have to budget for that.
Well, we need to have a conversation about that whole thing back there. You know, we can keep buying 5 years at a time with little things forever, I suppose, but we're eventually gonna have to deal with it. The biggest challenge is in dealing with it is probably that half of our electrical system for this building flows through there. So we're gonna have to relocate all half the electric service into this building before we do anything back there, and then figure out what to do with it, if anything. It's okay. It's just, we just keep putting it off and
So
getting along.
was the rot from like leakage?
It's probably snow melt, pushed back in there, plus some leakage somewhere. There's no obvious leak anywhere that we could see. We know we have a couple drips in the way back. This is in the breezeway between this building and the steel building in the back. So there was no cause that was immediately evident, but I would not be surprised if a lot of it is snow getting pushed up, just getting stuck back in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, the snow gets pushed in there up against the wall, and it just sits there, and then the snow that comes off the roof. And
Just
it's
Yeah.
been an ongoing problem.
Yeah, and we also, the food pantry folks asked us to work on that. They have an entrance back there, and they asked us to work on putting something over their doorway there. They ended up throwing some money into the project to add something to what we had planned. We really struggle with runoff and icicles and all that back there. It's all angles and valleys and was not really designed with snow melt in mind. So that's a constant challenge back there around the Sally Port. In last year's work and the roofing work, we tinkered with a couple things, and we just keep trying different things, but just a constant headache, really. Siding looks great. It'll hold up really well.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
So I have one more question.
yeah.
Is there anything that we should do from the internal aspect of that wall to either kind of shore it up or kind of like petition it off so that?
We may just cover the inside of it as well. We haven't really pushed at it from the inside yet, but we'll look at that and see if, it gets no use. There's nobody
Right.
back there other than passing by to get to storage, really.
Right.
And we'll make sure it's safe enough, but other than that, we're not gonna sink a whole lot into it.
Right.
It is, it's a couple of big windows back there, so we'll lose some light that was convenient, but not the end of the world. Let's see. concert series starts tomorrow night, summer concert series, next 4 Tuesdays.
That-
Right out here on
the concert
The
series.
concert series, yeah. Tomorrow night is, I forgot who it is. I don't remember. Check it out, it's on the website. Good stuff. The last time we talked about Nottingham Day, the marching orders were go do something with it to spruce it up, fix it, or kill it, or do something. And I think our rec folks have come up with a new angle that might just pump some life into it. We're planning on moving it to the spring. The road race is coming back, and it's gonna line up with Earth Day in April. We've got some folks that are interested in helping out, which is a new thing, relatively new thing. That was another thing that was missing, was volunteer energy. So we're just making sure that the race calendar is clear. We've got a race vendor, you know, the folks that run the races themselves. We've got that lined up. And having a theme was another kind of hole in the thing, where we didn't have we never had a thing to tie it to other than just Nottingham. So we're hoping that spurs some new programmatic opportunities and fills up the day a little better. You know, it shrunk down to a 9 to 12, 9 to 1 kind of thing over the years, and it wasn't really a day as the program kind of petered out. So I think it could be great. It could be what it needed. So we're not going to have one in September. We're going to push it into April and see if we can breathe some new life into it. So that's failing that. I don't think we know what else to do. It's just kind of run its course with what we've been doing. So if the check signing routine of everybody taking a month has been working for you, we have used up all the scheduled months and need you to sign up for
Oh,
a new
have we?
month.
So we gotta start with August again?
No, Tyler has August, but
Okay.
if you're willing to commit now, or if you want to put that off until the other two are here, we can do that. So we're good for now, but if you want to,
Do we just want to keep the same rotation, or just roll it over and keep going?
Where would that put me?
Let's see,
September,
so
October,
Tyler,
November? That would be fine.
you for August,
we can tweak it. It's not a big deal, you know.
Charlie, Donna, Tony. That'll put you in December.
That's fine.
Yeah?
Charlie, that would mean you would have September.
September?
Yeah,
No
would that
problem.
work?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I can do it anytime.
I mentioned in a note to you last week that I had somebody approach me about a town-owned parcel on Route 4 near Mary Hill Road. This is something that was tax deeded this spring, and we haven't talked about it at all. So I wanted to just give you this little map to show you where it is, and then ask you to have a conversation with me offline. The folks that are interested in it want to have just kind of an informal chat, but I don't even know if you want to sell it or not. So I just want to take your temperature on that. It's right by the corner of Mary Hill Road. Was just tax deeded in February or March, just this year.
So it's a new one.
What's that?
It's a new property.
Yes,
tax
new
property,
to
yeah.
us, yep. That's why we haven't talked about it at all, and usually once a year or so, we're talking about these town-owned tax deeded parcels.
One each.
So when you get a chance, let me, give me a call, we'll talk through it. To sell it, you'd have the choice of either auctioning it or offering a sealed bid. It's not like you could just, find somebody that wants to buy it and sell it to them. It's a much more open process than that, but before I waste their time, I just want to chat with you about it when you get a chance. And last but not least is I also mentioned that our road grader had a catastrophic problem of some sort last week. It's at the shop. It died on the side of Mindle or something last week. It sounds like a head problem or some other major engine failure. We don't know the diagnosis. I think we may hear tomorrow, but whatever the repair of it is probably measured in tens of thousands.
Right.
So we're gonna have a decision to make about that piece of equipment and whether we sink that into it or not.
It's got, what, 9,000 hours on it?
Probably, yeah, we bought it in '08. It's not, this one has been apparently more expensive to own than the one before it. And it's certainly been my experience, is it would seem to always be doing something to it, but now where we're, you know, the things run like $250,000 a piece or something like that. But if we're talking, I don't know, you know, 30, 40, 50 grand, then we need to have a conversation about, do we
The
put that much
last truck
into it?
engine we had rebuilt, I think, was 35 grand.
Yeah,
And this one will be more.
yeah. So that's the neighborhood that we're afraid that we're gonna be in. So we're kind of collecting all the information about what are our options, what have we spent on this one, all that stuff. So the next time you meet, we're probably gonna have to make a decision there. We can't go without one indefinitely. We can live in short spurts without it, but I don't think indefinitely we can do without.
That gets used more than any other piece of equipment we have. And the loader's right behind it.
Yep. And you can do some of the stuff with the loader, but not enough. So,
What's the lifespan on those?
you know,
Trying to think, the last one we had,
15,000 hours? Is it that much?
I don't know, I'm trying to think, you know, the hours and the years, we've usually really get our money's worth out of our equipment.
I think the one before it lasted 12, 13, 14 years.
Yeah.
In that range. This one, we're at 9
Yeah.
right now. So I don't have answers or even facts for you yet, but that's coming.
What's leasing like on those?
Well, lease to own is not a bad, generally not bad. You end up, paying a small premium for that. That's something unless you, depending on how you structure it, you probably need to get town meeting approval to lease to own. You can enter into a lease and, be able to walk away from it, so you don't need town meeting approval. But when you walk away with no, you walk away with nothing. So it's like an open-ended rental in that situation. So we have typically lease purchased those bigger pieces of equipment. So that'll be one of the things we we put in front of you. If we need to talk about replacing it rather than fixing it, we'll have to look at leasing. And another thing we don't know is if there's anything out there in the secondhand market or, anything like that. So we'll work on that too.
But we're not gonna be able to purchase anything until town meeting.
Well, it depends on how you can enter a lease and then,
Right.
switch the terms of the lease with town meeting approval. I haven't thought through all of it, but we could do that, assuming we can figure out how to make the payments between now and town meeting. We could get permission to enter a longer term lease purchase arrangement at town meeting. We don't have the cash to go out and just buy one.
Right.
So that's not an option. Renting gets pretty expensive pretty quick. But we'll figure it out and we'll put those in front of you, but, we'll see. There's no good answers, I'm afraid, but,
Okay.
We've used 5-year leases on those in the past. So like you said too, you need town meeting approval in order to do multiple years.
yeah. Yeah, we could get somebody to write us a lease that says, well, yeah, it's a lease, but if you want to if you don't get approval to go forward with it, we'll just take it back and keep everything you've given us. So you have no equity and no, then you're back to zero. That's the risk that you take in that scenario. But we should have some answers for you next time, or some options. Anything else on that? No. Okay. That's all I've got.
Okay.
if you want to shuffle impact fees up, we can turn Jackie loose earlier, but other than that, I don't think you have any other agenda issues.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk school impact fee request. Do you want to come up, Jackie, or?
Yeah, you actually have, two, one for fire and one for school. The fire one is the routine,
Yeah.
extra principal payment that we've done, and then the school one is new.
Hey.
Mr. Sterndale, do you want to start, or do you want me to start? Or?
I don't know, I wrote everything I know to you. They probably have an idea what's going on, so a quick synopsis and then any questions is probably the
Yeah.
best way to go.
I think folks know that for the past many years, the subject of how much space is available in the school, are we at capacity, do we need more space, has definitely been discussed by the community. And I think in 2012, right, it went to the ballot, and there was a warrant article for an 8,000-foot addition and a 3,000-foot renovation, which did not pass. Since that time, though, the school board, and these are the folks that are on the board before me, I think they were very creative in trying to make the best use of that space and to make sure they're providing opportunities for educational services and just making the best available, using the space we have in the best way possible. So some of the examples to kind of make that more real to folks, windows have been put in closets to make space available for student services. The teacher's room and the teacher's lunchroom and office space was reduced in half in order to make more offices for special education services. A technology classroom was converted into 4 separate special education offices and service spaces. So definitely I think that the board over the past years has definitely gotten as much out of that school as they could. However, given that, and I should also add those were kind of low cost creative solutions, either using capital reserve balancers or unavailable fund balance, so no big expenditures, nothing like that to make that happen. But having said that, the school is still having space issues. For instance, one of our certified teachers who teaches the health program is on a cart. So that teacher does not have his own classroom. So he has to go into other classrooms to provide that class. And actually that's one of the teachers that students will see throughout their whole K-8 experience as well. So some continuity there with that one individual. Also, sometimes still there's space that's not used appropriately. So for instance, our locker rooms are still used for storage, not all of it, and also some of the showers that are in those locker rooms still have items stored in them. So some of the original space is not able to be used for its original intent or purpose because of the space constraints in the school. As we look at new things that are coming down the pike, such perhaps as full-day kindergarten or foreign languages, things that you do see in other surrounding districts, there is no space right now to offer those services or those programs. And also, should we get an enrollment bubble, say for instance all of a sudden the 5th grade class has more enrollments, we're right about at those kind of state regulated class student teacher ratios there. And in fact, I think in the other communities in our SAU, our class student ratio is a little bit higher than what you might see in some of the other communities. So at the end of June, Dr. Gomsey had emailed Mr. Sterndale to ask about, could we perhaps use up to $9,000 of impact fees to conduct a demographic study and space assessment. And we went out to bid with a couple of different firms to take a look. And what we want to do is to understand, take a look at the space we currently have, the programs we're offering, what programs might be coming down the pike, and just see, could we use our space differently, any better? What programs should we be considering that we're not considering? Could we reallocate something or renovate something? The answer might be no, given all the creative options they put in play. And also they would take a look at the programs, take a look at the available space, and make a recommendation. We think that would probably be part one of 2 parts. So after we got that information back, we then would have to look at perhaps a site or more of an architectural type of study to say, okay, these are the different options we heard, this is how space could be used, what could we possibly do? The school board has discussed, as you could see in our meeting minutes, everything from modulars to maybe a freestanding building that could be out there. So we definitely want to understand all the different possibilities and options, and then be able to put something before the voters, hopefully in March. Because we know that without additional space, we can't bring additional programs to the school. I also think a nice component of this will be the demographic studies. I think our last demographic study may not have played out the way that folks first thought it would. So even though the towns around us, enrollments are declining and the state is aging more quickly than others, we've actually seen our enrollments increase compared to the other towns in our district. And just for an example, since the school opened in 1996, we're up 45 students, 482 in 1996, and 527 now, as of last October 2016. So 9% growth. I mean, again, it's over many, many years, but while other towns are seeing decreases in enrollment, we're still holding steady or growing a little bit.
I read over this stuff actually a couple of times. I know there was a question about whether or not there was a proper use of those impact fees and stuff, and I didn't see a problem with it. And that's what we have those things for. And unfortunately, it costs a lot of money to have these studies done. And this is probably the cheaper one. If they decide to have to build something new, it's gonna be even a bigger bite they're gonna take to design something, so. I don't think there's an issue. I don't think we have an issue with this. Or I don't, anyway.
Tony?
No, I agree. I mean, it's, the fact finding is the way to go to assess what we have versus what we need and where to go from there. So that's really the best way to get all the facts.
Yeah, and the impact fees can be applied to this type of study, so I think. Yeah. Anybody have any other questions or for Jackie?
I don't.
Right, what about
Pretty
any questions on the fire?
No, not on the fire, no.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion on the impact fees?
On both of them?
On both of them, yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion for the select board to approve the expenditure of $10,441.80 in fire department impact fees for principal payments on the fire station bond, and up to $9,000 in school impact fees for a demographic study and building space use analysis.
Second,
Second, yeah.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Jackie.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Thanks.
Okay. Want to go over the Q2 budget?
Yep, I gave you kind of a brain dump on Friday. One correction, my memo talked about splitting the social service agency grants in half.
Yeah.
And that was a great idea, but it didn't make its way through until the checks were actually out the door. So, we've already paid the full amount on those.
Okay.
Not a huge deal, it was just a way to keep a little bit of powder dry, but, we'll do that next year.
Yeah.
It's only, 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, I think we're okay. We're in about the same place we were at this time last year. And we finished last year way ahead of budget, way under budget. The vacancies that we now have in police and fire and recycling, all that, those start to add up, particularly the police and fire ones. Those are gonna remain vacant for, maybe a quarter of the year when it's all said and done. Overall, I think we're gonna be okay. The big pain spots right now are highway and legal. Highway, we had a really rough opening winter, and you can see that sprayed across a number of lines. This doesn't reflect anything for the grader, so
Right.
it's gonna get worse. We kept, knowing that, we held back on the overlay program a little bit because we knew we were over on plowing, we were a little bit over on Lakeview, so I think that is going to turn out to help quite a bit. Legal, the bulk of that was the lead up to the tax deeding of the USA Springs property, the bankruptcy court, and all the, those of you that lived through it remember a lot of meetings with lawyers. We're still paying for a couple things, I just had a bill come across my desk for another $1,500 today for the 2 things that are open now, so we're gonna miss there by plenty.
It's a hard one to budget.
It is. You know, we honestly, I think we expected, in leaving it where it was, we expected to be dipping into the separate appropriations that we did by warrant article for a lot of these kinds of things around legal, but they came too soon. The cost came too soon, so we're gonna leave a lot of that appropriation for owning USA Springs unspent, but so be it. Otherwise, no huge surprises in the operating budget. I just mentioned Nottingham Day. You know, we're not going to spend that this year, so that's going to come in well under. A lot of our big projects are done. I mentioned the siding over here. We're ahead of schedule compared to where we often are with road reconstruction and overlay. We're often leaking into August and September with those projects, but those are pretty much done, and so we have some good visibility now. The police cruiser is almost ready. We still have to fit that out with radio and paint and stuff. So those are all the kind of the outlier or the things that are outside the routine. Revenues, revenues are tough at 6 months, but the biggest things are motor vehicle registrations, which continue to blow the doors off of last year and our budget number. We might hit 1 million in receipts in motor vehicle registrations this year. And the governor signed the law with the extra highway money. So that's going to show up, and we'll have some decisions to make around that. That may help us with our greater problem. That it just showed up like Friday that it was signed, so it's we're just waiting on the dollar amount now. Building permits is another, you know, I think that we have 30 or 40,000 we budget for that. That's a little bit lighter than I would have expected at this point in the year, but it's not compared to the whole total. It's not really a worry. And other revenues, it's all small dollars, so not much to think about there. I can go down a layer, or you can ask questions, or
Pretty straightforward. I mean, the revenues are always, you know, you don't get a real good picture of revenues this time of year. The longer you go, the more you find out, but
Do we, in the overlay, have we pretty much used that? You know, maybe we haven't been billed, but we're expecting to be billed, or is there some room to maybe hold back until we find out about the grader?
no, that work is done.
The work is done,
Yeah, and there's a separate warrant article for road reconstruction, which was, you know, what we said last year was we need 200,000 to work on
Right.
Lakeview or any other project that, you know, reaches the priority level.
Right.
We move costs all appropriately, but there's a little bit of shifting between that warrant article appropriation and the lines of the highway department or the shim and seal coat
Shim and
line.
Seal Coat's its own budget line, so we can move that
We
around.
can't, right.
Right.
Do you have a number, what is in there that we didn't use? Ballpark?
We've used 270 out of 290, something like that. Is that?
267 and change out of 285.
Yeah. So we got 20 left there. I think that includes some of the Lakeview overage, because we know we were over on Lakeview, and I think we've covered that here. I have to look at the transaction level detail, but I'm pretty sure that, you know, where we missed on Lakeview, we put in here, because we can't go over on on the $200,000 road reconstruction appropriation. But we can go over on an individual line item here if we need to.
So the highway sand, gravel, stone,
Yep,
we haven't spent much of that, at least it's not in here, but.
Yep.
So if there's, that might be a line, if there's no plan, or if we did something else to,
yeah, there's, within the particularly in the highway, with the lines, you know,
Right.
where the costs fall, it's,
Right.
you know. So I look at it as much in the aggregate as I do in one line item. I mean, you look at salt, we're pretty well stocked up in salt, but we used a ton of it.
right, because there's a lot of small storms that came in.
Yep,
Yeah.
small wet storms, icy, it was, yeah, so, and of course, we got 6 or 8 weeks of more to come, so.
Right.
Who knows? And whatever we end up doing personnel-wise is gonna have some impact here too,
Yep,
so.
okay,
The only help we'll get there as far as personnel, fire, and police, if we don't get anybody on board right away, we have that considerable retirement funds that we put out for those fire and police, so that might help ease the pain a little bit,
Yeah,
depending on the time frame.
yep. And we've got an officer out on medical, one of our part-timers is out
right.
now too, so. It's not the way we wanna save money, but.
Nope.
Is being short-staffed gonna impact their outreach activities, like the Citizens Police Academy and all that?
No, that's going forward. It's, at this point, it's gonna mean our patrol officers have to do a little bit more of the case investigation and work than they typically do. They're carrying cases further along than they typically would. But the academy is moving forward.
That's a good experience with them.
It's great for everybody. It's good for the officers too. I know they got a lot out of it last time. Had a good time with it.
Anything else in the budget?
I don't have anything.
No, I don't have anything.
All right. We're kicking right along here. Recycle center.
All right, so we talked last week. We're now down a person at the recycling center. It's the swap shop at its worst. Some pictures coming around to you from Brianne over there. We need help over there. We're gonna run with 3 people right now, but that's really tough on the folks that are working there on the busy days. We've got the job of attendant, 3 days a week posted where we can. Had I think 1 serious applicant thus far. So they're gonna be stretched over there. The swap shop is, we talked about it last week. It's getting to be a real struggle. You've spent some time in it. Joan Carpenter goes over and helps out periodically. She's been the last one standing in terms of volunteer help. She comes over once in a while to try to help keep it under control, but I think it's time to pause on the swap shop while we're down people and maybe regroup a little bit later, but it's turned into a
Monstrosity.
yeah, and people are tripping over things. And it's
I've made a couple of inquiries myself and on, the swap shop, but I think we can close it up, at least temporarily. But they're having issues getting the dumpsters moved
yeah,
in a timely fashion. Maybe because it's that time of year, that a lot of lake people are coming in, they're busier. Oceanside does all the hauling for those containers. But I think they need like a little pep talk or something.
Oceanside got an earful for me.
Okay.
They're using a subcontractor, and that's where the breakdown is coming, so. And that's kind of piling onto their problem with the swap shop, because a lot of the
No
stuff.
place to put the stuff.
Yeah.
Last week, the dumpsters, 2 of them were like over the top.
Yeah,
And, that's-
yeah, it's compounding the problem, but the swap shop challenge remains, whether there's a full dumpster or an empty dumpster next to it. It's,
That's too bad, because I'm trying to think who we had before, when we ended up changing. And I went to Oceanside, the outfit that we were using out of Maine, they just dropped the ball big time. And then they started using, they were farming out some of the haul into other, and that's like the
it's a kiss of death.
calm before the storm, you know, that's something that has to be done regularly. And, you know, we've been a customer for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, we've avoided shopping that service because we looked, last year, I went over it with NRRA, and I said, this is where we are, is it, you know, should we take this out to bid, because we've been doing it with them so long, that, and they were kind of shocked at how cheap it was. So I left it alone. I didn't, you don't want to shine a light on it if it's, if it's really cheap compared to what everybody else is getting, but we may be approaching that point just from a service level point of
Right.
view.
Yeah.
That, it's kind of independent of the swap shop
Right.
problem, but they do commingle, so to speak.
Tony, what's your thoughts on the swap shop?
Well, I mean, the immediate concern is they're shorthanded, and as much as I'd love to get, a team of students in there doing their community service hours, they still gotta have somebody to answer to. And that person would need to coordinate with, the contact person at the schools to manage it. And one, we don't have that right now, and two, I'm not sure we would want to put that on a new public works director while he's trying to get the reins with everything else as well. So, as much as it may, may sting some folks in town, I think the prudent move is to close it up for, what kind of time period you thinking? 60 to 90 days?
Yeah, I think that's, we gotta see what our personnel situation is first, and, what our management and our frontline personnel situation is, and involve them in the decision of if and when to launch it again. This is the heaviest time of year for, between the opening of the lake houses and the end
Net
of
sales.
September is,
Right.
was the
Busiest
crazy
time.
season for that, but, I think it might be good to kind of break the habit of some of, I think we have a number of people that just come to the swap shop and load up their truck. I mean, we hear tales of stuff appearing in yard sales after being at the swap shop. It's better than throwing it away, because we have to pay to throw it away, and there's some value in that, but it might be good to kind of flush that out of our system before we try again.
And maybe, before we, flick the switch on opening it up, we put out a call to the community for all those people that wanted to volunteer to keep it alive. Step forward now, because we need you, or else we won't be able to open it up.
Yeah, I expect that if we do decide to close it, that you and I will hear from people that aren't happy with that decision, and we can start that list of potential volunteers
Yeah.
at that point.
So, I mean, my three reasons for shutting it down is the staffing issue that we're faced with right now, the lack of volunteers, and health considerations, moving forward as stuff starts to pile up in there. I mean, that is just, I think we should, part of me is thinking we should post it closed as of Thursday, when it opens. Communicate that to the staff, get it posted everywhere we can. But there also, we could post in that posting that there are other avenues. There's, free cycle avenues. There's a Facebook, I think Nottingham's swap
Sell
there-
swap free.
Yeah, so there are other options that people can use to bring their recyclable materials, or, you know, share their recyclable materials with if they're, so it's not like there's not other options out there, but right now, I think we have to make the decision based on the situation that we have in front of us.
There's also an outfit called Trash to Treasure, based
UNH,
based out of
yeah.
UNH.
Yep.
And they will take good things and clean them up and refurbish them and repurpose them, so.
All right, we will make it so.
Okay, we have no appointments in front of us, so, any other tasks or anybody have any you want to bring forward?
Not really. I've been putting feelers out for the Public Works Director position, and I haven't got any good feedback. I was hoping that, you know, maybe somebody in a local department, you know, might aspire to having that position and think about it. Of course, their director probably wouldn't be happy if we pulled somebody from the local area, but, I mean, I don't know what else we're gonna do.
Yeah,
I've got a couple of construction companies I want to contact, which would be the same thing, pulling somebody from them, but doesn't hurt to ask.
Yep.
did you post it in that, that Public Works
Yep.
site?
Yeah, yeah, that was just Friday or Thursday or something, yeah.
Yeah.
We got a couple, like, where was that guy from that is it Arizona or something? Irving, Texas, you know, that's the, yeah. But he wasn't even in the business, he was, you know, an architect or
You
something.
can see how big Nottingham was, he's worked on some
Yeah,
pretty
it's,
big
the
projects.
broader you go with these things, the more of that noise you get, and that's okay, we'll take it all, you know.
Right.
We'll weed through it, but,
Right.
it's not been overwhelming. We had, 2 other applicants, maybe?
Do you have any printouts that we could put on bulletin boards in those
Yeah,
places?
certainly, yeah, I can get you something.
Yeah, post some down at UNH.
Well, say that, you know, I work at the police department in the afternoons, and it's right across from the main facilities shed.
Yeah.
That's where a majority of their
That's right.
crew works out of, so.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine, he's a rec director in Peterborough, he's tied into, he's pretty active in those circles, you know, so I put a bug in his ear about that. So,
Jeff?
King,
Yeah, Jeff. I will get you something, I'll email you a one-page thing that you can
print out.
leave on the windshields over there at the,
Windshield of their grader, yeah.
they shouldn't have a grader,
Oh, you'd be surprised.
yeah?
Yeah, I think they have their own.
Rent it?
Can you take it for a ride for a few days?
I'll take it for a spin. Take it for a spin down, I don't know, what road needs it next?
It doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
All right,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Great, good night, folks.
Good
Go to the
night.
concert tomorrow night at 7 o'clock? 6:30?
Ah,
Look at the website. Good night,
I
folks.
got it here somewhere, hold on. Front page of the website.
Front page of the website.
Front page of the website, 6:30 PM, Hungry
6:30.
Town.
Hungry Town.
Hungry Town,